Right, that's put people off. Right, so we're ready. We've cleared our throats.
We have.
And we're going to do something a little bit different this time because...
Lights off.
We're back. we're back and we're bad. Bad because it's not a predominantly EV-related podcast. If you're wanting something that's electric and green and all that sort of stuff, this is probably one you're going to want to tune out of. So we thought we'd change it up a little bit and discuss some of the things that we've bought over the last few years. Essentially, buying cars that won't cost you money or may even make you money.
It makes a bit of financial sense.
Yeah, and a bit of fun.
That's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah, ultimately. And why we've done some recent purchases, I suppose, things like that. But there will be a bit of EV flavour in there. Because there has been a purchase that I made some money on.
Well, EV related.
It is. There you go. So it's on brand.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Should we dive straight in then? So essentially, what we mean is you buy a car.
Your man maths it out.
Yeah, you do. You buy a car.
The man maths makes sense.
They do, and actual man maths this time, not
proper
just
man maths. Yeah.
Advanced man maths. Yeah. It's just basic stuff. So essentially, you buy a car that's only going to either hold or appreciate in value.
So you take a little bit of shopping around and looking at the market.
And it is going to be a second car. It's not going to be a daily driver.
No, you don't want this to be a daily driver. No. It's a fun weekend car.
Essentially, it's the modern equivalent of a horse.
It is, yeah.
Only cheaper to run.
Yeah. Are we calling this the midlife crisis?
I know, because it's a financially responsible decision.
That's true. Yeah, you'd be silly not to.
Exactly. I mean, we're going to give a few examples of some of which we have missed ourselves.
Yeah, and you always kick yourself afterwards and go,
yeah, you are, eventually. But let's start with the EV one first, because that's the thing.
Let's get on brand first.
So, as people who watch the channel will know, I used to own a Renault Twizy. And it was deliberate from day one. I thought, I'm going to buy it as cheap as I can.
Content.
At the worst time.
Yeah.
Did
you buy it February, March time?
February. So effectively, like a convertible, I guess.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to buy a Renault Twizy in winter. It was February when I bought it. So I thought, you're probably going to get a cheaper deal then. And then I'll wait until August-ish.
Yeah.
After we've got, like, say, some content out of it. We raised money for a charity as well. So we did some good.
Get some good stuff.
And just had some fun in it. Because it is a bit of a bonkers.
It was one of those cars that everybody just wanted to see.
I just wanted to own once. Own one for a bit. And I knew it would be a temporary thing. But again, planned from day one. So my idea was, I'll get my money back.
Yeah, wasn't it that money for the bathroom?
Effectively, yeah. We knew there was going to be a long lead time, so I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll use that money we set aside for the bathroom on this.
Yeah. Stop
spending it on something stupid, and ultimately, and then sell it. Yeah, like a Twizy. And then sell the Twizy, pay for the bathroom. So my idea, what I thought after looking into it was, they don't seem to depreciate. And bear in mind, I bought what was at the time was a 7-year-old Twizy. 2014 one.
Very low miles.
Well, I think we all are.
Yeah,
4,000 miles might be a lot on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I think I paid 6.5. Or was that how much I sold it for? No, 6.5.
6.5.
Paid 6.5, and it had everything I wanted apart from the windows, but I couldn't have them. So it had the doors, it had a different colour.
Yeah.
It had all the spec basically, which isn't much, but effectively, I
think it was a nice one.
You needed one with doors.
It was a nice one, wasn't it?
Yes, and it was from somebody that he sold other stuff. I trusted.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, given what they've been going, because you do keep an eye on the market, don't you? So I thought, that hadn't budged in price for ages. There were 2-year-older ones that were going for basically the similar price.
Yeah. So it's a sound.
The worst case scenario, you're going to lose a couple $100, aren't you?
Well, in 6 months, yeah.
Absolutely. So I thought, right, buy it in February, get some fun out of it, sell it at its peak selling time, if you like, summer.
Yeah.
And that essentially is what happened. So bought, had fun. It cost £110 to insure it.
Did it?
And then I got most of that back because it was only 6 months insurance. And then sold it for 7.5. Wow. So even if you knock off I'll call it £450 I spent on it on the windows and the service.
You're going to spend some money doing that sort of thing, aren't you?
So I effectively got paid £500-600 for driving a Twizy for 6 months.
That's not bad, is it?
So that's effectively the man maths we're talking about here. And it doesn't have to be electric because...
We're going to give you examples of lots of different
cars. There's nothing here. But let's just give you an electric example of which you sort of toyed with, but not realistically. And my brother did as well.
Yeah.
A Renault Zoe, just get a cheap one. Battery lease means you don't have to worry about
That
almost
sort of
anything.
thing, yeah.
And they were going for about £4,500.
There was lots of them at that. I mean, they couldn't get rid of them, could they? At that price, there were loads,
and they never went any lower than that because of that perpetual lease.
It sort of bottomed out, didn't it? At that price.
So it's like, well, this is a good thing because what the people worry about in electric cars that are old, battery, you don't have to worry about on this one. We've kind of mentioned this on either the previous or the next podcast. But yeah, £7,000 is the cheapest one for that identically
for a good choice.
Same car.
Yeah, absolutely.
For 7,500. So essentially, if you'd have bought that a year ago, even with battery lease, or 2 years, you're looking at £600 a year battery lease. So let's say 2 years. So buy it for £5,000, it's cost you £1,200, so that's £5,200. Bound to be some repairs, so let's say 5,500.
Yeah.
And let's say 6. Yeah. You were unlucky, you had to get some tyres.
A couple of nails.
And you're selling it for 7,500.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So you could have the car for 2 years, which has cost you nothing in fuel.
It's paying you.
Yeah, and you've made a grand profit on it. It's almost like what people do with supercars, but a cheaper version of it.
Yeah, like Shmee.
Yeah, well, exactly. You're not going to lose out on the sort of cars.
No. Limited edition stuff. It's only going to go up in value.
No, but we're
not looking at Lamborghinis here.
No. This is stuff I would say is midlife crisis sort of pricey. It's sort of thing. Well, you know what? Similar price to the Twizy.
Yeah.
Because that's what I essentially sold the Twizy and bought the next one on just after you bought yours, and we'll come to that in a second. But essentially, this is where
we do have a habit of buying the same cars.
Yes, and not even buying each other's.
Yeah.
But what effectively ended up happening is, you find one, don't you think? Oh, I like that, and we have similar sort of, I like a V6 or whatever. Yeah. And then you go, oh, actually, that is very nice, and then you end up buying it yourself, don't you? But this is why it has to be petrol, because there are no electric vehicles.
No, there's a Twizy
of this age, of this price, of this sort of getting to that classic age, maybe.
As cars get to that certain age, don't they? Around the 20-year mark, they do become a bit more desirable, and I think that the people that wanted them at the time, also the people that wanted them at the time, are 20 years older, and they can afford them now.
Yeah.
20 years ago, I couldn't afford all these cars we're going to look at now.
No. So, should we go back to the when you got the car we're talking about is an Audi TT convertible, because we've never had a convertible. Neither of us have ever owned a convertible.
We've neglected ourselves, and
it's an itch that needed scratching.
It did, yeah. And even if it was for a short time or for
exactly.
It had to be done.
We were both keeping an eye on it, even though I was in Twizy territory right then.
I think it was probably around this time last year when we first started looking. Because the thing that got me onto it was I've always liked the 3.2 litre engine in the R32 Mark IV and 5. And ever since the
VR6 from the Corrado as well.
Ever since when they came out, I've always wanted a Mark IV or 5 Golf. The problem is the price. The price has gone up astronomically in the last couple of years. So that got me looking at other cars that have that engine. And then it was the Audi. Yeah. Exactly the same engine.
And then the convertible sort of turned up.
And then the convertible turned up as well. I thought, 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah.
And then it was just a matter of... it was like 4 months, was it, of looking?
Yeah, because
there's not many of them.
Manual as well.
I wanted the Golden Unicorn, so I wanted the manual one, preferably in black with red leather.
And I think, right now, and for the past, I'm going to say 2.5 months, there's been 0 V6 manual convertible TT.
Is that of one gone?
Ones.
Like we looked at?
There haven't been a single manual TT on the market since before Christmas, because I've been checking, because I've got it as a safe search on my Auto Trader. This is just an Auto Trader, not an eBay or anything.
If it's on Auto Trader, it's on eBay as well.
Well, usually, yeah. So not one. And when we were looking,
I can set the price.
Yeah, basically. And when we were looking, there were 2 to 3.
There was always one,
and this was a kind of convertible sort of time of year to buy.
It was just the start of summer, wasn't it? I think I got mine on the rainiest day of summer.
I remember driving all the way down south, but. Billy bargain. Even if you'd have paid the going rate for it, it'd still been good value.
Well, he had to get rich because he'd upset his wife.
Well, that's what we're talking about. Buying a car that, worst case scenario, like I say, you're going to get your money back.
Yeah.
But you've got lots of enjoyment out of it.
Best case scenario, you're going to make quite a bit of money.
So effectively, I don't think we've told this story before, haven't we? But to this day, remember how it happened. Because we saw it for it came up. Thought that's not bad, but it
was a long way away, wasn't it? I think the cars we've sort of been looking at, we've given ourselves 100 miles because you have to take a day off, don't you, to go and look at a car.
And this was
This was in Essex, wasn't it?
Essex, yeah. So yeah, long for us, essentially.
Full day. Full long day.
It's a day out. So that made us not look at it. The price was about average at the time.
Was it about 7, 8? Was it something like 7.5?
I think it started at 7.5, but only for about 4 days.
And then he dropped it
to 6.5.
And then he dropped it again
to 5.5.
Yeah.
Every week. Yeah. So essentially, when he told us, didn't he? He's already found his replacement, which was a Mark II. TT.
No. He got a TTRS.
TTRS, right?
Yeah. So he bought a TTRS. It was coming the weekend after we went to look at that car. He had nowhere to park it, literally, in Essex. He had a garage with a car in it, something on his drive.
He had a couple of show cars.
Nothing else nowhere else to park it. He spent an absolute fortune doing the TT up.
It was his daily, wasn't it?
It was his daily, yeah. It had loads of
a Mark I V6 converter.
We had all the common problems sorted out. So when you're buying a car this age, worth looking at the common problems. There's a lot of YouTube channels that have guides.
Yeah. And we did all that.
Yeah. So the guide replaced all the wings that rust, front end respray, undercard being sealed, all the rust taken out, all the nice things done, wheels refurbished. It had the optional BBS wheels. So yeah, we went to look at it. It ticked all the right boxes. Offered him less than what he had it on, even though he dropped it.
They'd gone for, arguably, dropped 2.5. Well, a third.
Yeah.
Although I think it was just trying it originally.
Yeah.
Testing, it was just,
I think the disadvantage for him is he needed rid of it there and then.
And they'd only had one person come to look at it who cancelled because they wanted the DSG.
Yeah. So we come all the way from Yorkshire. I think I was a bit surprised because he rung us up. You're still coming? I'm like, yeah, we're on his way.
It's just taking a while to get through.
So yeah, took it. Never been happier. Probably. If it's difficult, is it the most fun car I've had? I think it's the most different car I've had. Every time I get in it.
The convertible nature alone is a big tick box.
Such a special feeling. It's not the fastest by any means.
No.
It's one of the nicest sounding.
But considering what you paid for it.
Oh, I could sell that and
what do you reckon right now? Well, I'll say when we get into May, when the sun, when the sun's coming out a little bit.
I reckon if he 8, I think if it's presented well and given a bit of a tide, it's a bit of a tiny little marks on the paint which we can easily take out. I think 8, yeah. Full service history. Oh, cam chain rebuild as well.
Yeah.
So the cam chain done. I got everything done with it. Yeah.
80 odd.
An 87. So yeah, the Mini's nearly done more miles.
And so effectively, if you if you're patient because it's a car you could sell without having to buy it. Basically, you don't want to sell something, do you, like he did, and think, I need to get rid of this now.
Yeah.
So if you did that, 8.
8. I think 8.
Well, potentially more.
Yeah, find the right person because it is. It's a, like I say, it's a manual. It's got the red leather, which is even rarer.
There's none on sale at the moment. No manual V6 convertibles.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you held your price there and just went, somebody offered you
there's always somebody in there.
No, it's 8, and if you want it, you want it. If not,
I'll
keep it.
How much was it? Ish.
For
how much do you get it for again?
5,100. Right.
So essentially, even after, how much have you spent on it? Do you reckon, or will you have by Mayish?
In terms of keeping it running.
Well, in fact, from buying it to selling
50 quid. MOT. It went straight through. The garage had never seen a cleaner car in the showroom all year.
Brilliant.
The only thing it's cost me is fuel.
Yeah, so which is just enjoyment.
Yeah, so fuel is, I'm putting about £50 a month in. I'm just having a bit of fun with that.
Yeah, and you're using it just to keep it running, you're not. Yeah.
So I use it for work occasionally if it's sunny. Insurance, being incredibly old, is around £250, £230.
Yeah, mine's just renewed yesterday, funnily enough.
Yeah, so that's not that much. Tax is around £30 a month. So literally, for it just to sit in a garage, it's £55 a month.
Right.
I can spend that's 2 takeaways.
Okay.
So when you think of it like that, if I do nothing with it, it's sat in there costing me £55 a month. Probably in the long term going up in value.
So worst case scenario, if you sold it this summer, you're going to make a couple of £1,000.
Yeah.
So, and that's essentially how you end up trading up, isn't it? You spend 5, you get 7 back. You spend 7, you get 9 or 10 back. And then and this is the sort of thing we're talking about. So of course, I mean, I remember saying at the time I was sat in the Tesla while you were testing it with him, and he came back and it's that decision time, isn't it? Because
it's a lot of money, and
and I went, if you don't, I will.
And when you said that, I'm like, no, you're not having it.
I should have gone, oh, you don't want this, Harry, and then
dreadful.
Sent him a text or something on the way out, going, I'll come back tomorrow, because it was just.
There you go. There's the keys for the Tesla. I've got keys.
No, I need a private registration on this now. It has to look different.
Yeah.
But no, it's and that's the thing, isn't it? You before someone, no doubt, well, they won't do because there's no comment section. But someone say, "Well, you obviously had $5,000 spare, you rich bugger."
Well,
you didn't know, did you? You've essentially just moved money aside.
Yeah. I had some money from 2014 when my grandmother passed away, and that's essentially sat in a bank for that long.
Doing
just do nothing, yeah. And it was a friend of mine who I got chatting to him, and he owned several Capris and a Mark II Escort. And I said to him, "How do you afford all them?" He says, "Well, it's this funny thing." He says, "I used to have some savings just sat in a bank." And then I thought, well, I could have the savings just sat on my drive.
Yeah.
They don't have to be a lot of savings, you know.
And it's insured.
It's insured.
And you can get a guaranteed insurance price if you really wanted to, so there's that. And
it's a safe investment.
The worst case scenario, if something really bad happened, and we're talking something that logically never will, you've got the car to sell. There's an asset there to sell. So it's not like you've emptied your funds of rainy day funds completely. No. You can manage long enough to sell it and then...
Exactly. And the worst case scenario is I get back what I paid for it.
And ironically, I've done the sums. That's a far bigger return than solar panels.
Yeah, and that's
completely the opposite in ecological terms. But
the thing is, I think a lot of people might be saying,
like a horse.
I can't believe you've got a 3.2 litre car that can only transport 2 people. Yeah, but I'm only doing 1,000, 1,500 miles a year
of a car that already exists. And like I say, we've said this many times, haven't we? You can't have a go at somebody with, I won't call it a classic car, but a fun car, and not have a go at somebody who has essentially pets. Or a horse especially.
Yeah, you don't need
massive environmental impact for a horse to live and eat.
Do you go on a steam train? Oh my God.
Well, steam train. Well, exactly. People go on steam train because it's, that's fun.
Yeah.
No, it's an ecological menace.
Yeah.
So anyway, forgetting, this isn't about ecology, this is just about a bit of fun, really. And then, of course...
Then you had to get one.
I remember driving one. I'm like...
Because I insured you on it, didn't I? So
we
went out...
well... How much did that cost you, though? Because that was very generous of you.
It was, I mean, I had to really decide when I rung up and I said I'd like to add Andy to the insurance, and they went through...
EVM?
Yeah, EVM. I'll give you a special price. I think it was around £1, I think, or £2.
£1?
Yeah, £1 or £2, yeah, to add you to the insurance. Are you sure you want to add him?
You still ask me for that £2. So, I mean...
And that cheque bounced.
I decided by then, because I knew the Twizy in fact, no, by then the Twizy had gone, I think.
I think in looking at buying the TT as well, it's probably worth saying that we used to own a Corrado VR6.
Yes, which is the precursor. It's the same engine sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's
the same sort of thing,
2.9.
And looking at Corrados, who just like, I can't.
They're genuinely an old car that you'd have to keep looking after.
Lots will be going wrong with a car of that age, and cars did make a massive leap from the late
technological
80s
sort of
the
reliability,
90s,
rust.
Exactly.
But by that point, I think you got yours, because I remember being in Lake District when I were. I had a really bad signal. I was texting you saying, it's gone down again.
Yeah.
And then we decided, didn't we? I came back off holiday on the Friday and we went on the Saturday morning down to the... But by that point, I'd sold the Twizy. So in my head, I'm like, right, I've done that project, I move on to another. And I wanted a convertible.
Do I need a bathroom?
I wanted a convertible. That was as much as certain, because I'd never owned one before.
Yeah. And it's nice to tick a box.
Absolutely. And I thought, right, okay, well, I've just made £1,000, almost, on the Twizy. So all of a sudden that 6.5 turns to 7.5 in my head.
Yeah, of course it does.
And it did. I mean, it's not just man maths, it genuinely did. So I was like, okay then. And it was between, obviously, the TT, which I'd now driven and gone, ooh, I like this. And for me, they look better now than they did when they were first out.
I think they've aged them, especially the Mark 1.
Or the BMW Z4.
Which is, again, a really nice car.
The only downside to that is, 1, there's a lot more of them. 2, there's no Halo model apart from the Z4M, and that was, you're looking at 15 upwards. So it just wasn't going to happen at that price.
And you'd always want that.
Well, that's the thing, is that's why I think I like... So anyway, I'll tell you how I bought mine in a second, but I think that's why I like this one so much. It's the top model. There isn't a better one than that.
No, there's no S-Line.
It was the end of the V6 as an engine with the Audis and whatnot. Because, well, actually, no, they carried it onto the Mark II, but essentially it's when they started.
It was towards the end of the VR6.
And it sounds. I mean, not everyone's bothered about this, but it sounds so much better than the BAM engine one. Is just yeah. I don't want that. I don't want that. I just want a nice little lazy rumble.
The VR6 noise is just. It's got sort of essence of I'd say Italian exotica.
It's fruity, you know what it does, doesn't it? I won't say it's like a Lamborghini or anything like that.
No, it does sound expensive.
It sounds a lot more expensive and fruitier than it should for me. It punches above its weight in that. And then when you factor in it's getting on to the 20-year mark, which is borderline classic.
There's less and less of them on the road because as more and more of them break, people are going, well, it's going to cost a lot to fix this, so I'm not going to bother.
Yep, and the fact that when, because I have been keeping an eye on it just out of pure curiosity, because it is part of the research, isn't it, that you have to do?
Well, I don't know, I'm one of these people, and you are as well, where quite often at 11 o'clock at night, I'll just WhatsApp you some Auto Trader.
Stop it!
But I think a lot of people, I don't know, I think there's people who look at Rightmove. I think there's a group of people looking at Rightmove.
Look at
I'm not going to move,
like
but I'm just looking at what it's worth.
I mean, arguably, you could do it with houses, couldn't you? Trade up.
Yeah. But that's what we do with cars. We just keep looking.
Yeah, and that's what we're interested in. So right now, I'm just having a quick shufty to see
what
cars. In fact, I've got it on my saved ones, and I don't need to associate. So I didn't end up buying one from Auto Trader because there were none.
Well, we went to look at one. And it was really. I mean, we went to see that one. It was a good price, but it made us realise what a bargain mine was in comparison.
Yeah, because that was a complete, as James may call it, a pup.
Yeah, it had been owned by somebody who only replaced it parts when it failed an MOT.
Yeah, and
four different brands of tyres was a...
Yeah, and the one had an egg on it, the brake calipers...
Seized on the back,
there was literally... Someone had resprayed it themselves, so they had a bit of overspray on the convertible roof, and you could see a drip.
Yeah, going down.
Because he said, didn't he, we've had it machine polished.
Yeah.
Clearly, they knew
it was an absolute...
So effectively, to get that, you're probably looking at... I mean, all the Xenons didn't pop out to clean it, and you don't know what else, obviously, you're going to find... You're looking at, I reckon, $2,500 worth of work because you'd want to get the bodywork sorted out.
Yeah. It hadn't been looked after.
Not at all.
It'd been sat outside. I think there was was a green moss around the convertible top.
Yeah, I've just brought up Auto Trader. 0 manual.
Let's search for an auto then.
V6s around.
That's convertible.
That's convertible. Sorry, yeah, of course. So let's see if we can. Oh, well, let me change it. Let me click here. This is good podcasting.
So what we're doing at the moment is we're clicking on Auto Trader,
which is a good visual thing for you. In fact, let me go to the 225. Just bear with us, guys. Hum or something like that. No, these are the BAM ones.
But even then, though, there's $7,000.
So
$8,000.
There are 15 Audi TTs. Convertibles for sale in the whole country, and that's including V6s and BAMs right now.
Wow.
I mean, we're in February, so that's going to have an effect. So let's now just change that up to...
It won't let you change it.
It won't let me change it. Oh, this isn't working. This is a great feature. I know I won't let me change it. No, I don't. I'll do it the old-fashioned way.
And click through.
While we're doing that, let's tell me how I buy that car. So I like this. There was none available.
No?
I did want a manual... But because you could play with your manual, I thought, I might look into DSG because, quite frankly, I couldn't find one. It just showed you the unicorn that you mentioned earlier. It really was, wasn't it? You didn't just find the spec you wanted at a cracking price, but you found one that we haven't actually come on sale in the last 8 months.
No.
So I managed to find one thanks to someone else sending it me on a nighttime URL. It's called Matthewson's Auction House.
Oh yeah, the
Bangers and Cash TV show.
Yeah.
So they're based in a really, really picturesque, and it is a picturesque, isn't it?
It's almost like a TV set.
Yeah. Village in
just outside Pickering.
Yeah. And it's an auction. But they typically go for your classic cars, your low mile, your interesting stuff.
Old MGs.
So you never get any bog or standard stuff. They're all typically of an age.
They're not 3 years old from main dealer, are they?
And very good looking usually. I've never seen any really dogs or anything like that.
They're not very honest with them as well.
Yeah, I did get a little bit carried away because the guide price was between 4 and 5,
which would have been an absolute steal.
So I was on the phone.
Low miles though.
It's 32. It's on now. Yeah. So it was 31 and a bit when I got it, which For a 17-year-old car, it's obviously exceptionally low.
Yeah.
And the previous owner had it 10 years.
It's a good sign.
Literally just sat in a garage.
Yeah.
I mean, it was... I think most of the dirt that came on it was because it was outside the auction house for a month.
Yeah.
It's genuinely been sat in a garage because there's not a patch of rust anywhere. Even in the bits like underneath the spoiler and things like that, where you typically get it,
No,
it's clearly not being
well
used,
looked
has it? And well looked after. So I'm like, all right then, this is quite special. Guide price 4 to 5, and you couldn't do it in person because of COVID.
Yeah,
So it was either internet bid or phone bid or a pre, like I'll go up to this.
Much, yeah.
And I remember doing, I didn't, in fact, I did a little video about this for members only, but I remember being on the phone and you got that kind of...
Yeah.
I mean, this was like
sometimes you get when you're going to snipe on eBay.
but worse, because we're talking thousands of pounds. And I remember thinking, right, okay. Why haven't they run me? Why haven't they run me? Oh my God, have they forgotten to do it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I managed to start watching it. The guy rings me up and goes, right, you're next. I was expecting like a few minutes. Went, right, you're next. And I could hear in the background, okay, and we have an Audi TT, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, right, yeah. I'll definitely go up to 5. It's easy, worth 5.
Yeah,
Probably go up to 6. And we're going to start the price. We've had quite a lot of interest on this. In fact, we've had more interest in this than any other car this year. Bear in mind, it was November, I think, or October, November. So we'll start off at the lowest thing that it's knocked up to, £6,500. I'm like, oh, for crying. And he went, do you want to go 6.6? I went, yeah, what? £7,000, 7,200. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Anyway, it started to slow down and it got to, I think, 7.5. And I went, yeah. And I'd set myself a target of 8 maximum.
Yeah.
But then, of course.
Well, when you get to 8, you go, well, there's not much more to 8.5.
So it's like, 8, and it's clearly just me and someone else. Because, you could tell with the guy, he was obviously going back to someone else. So I went, right, 8.1, yeah. 8.2, oh yeah, 8.3, okay then. And then the guy was obviously getting near his limit because he was going up in 50 quid increments.
Yeah.
And you can't say this, but what I wanted to say, I said, look, I'm going to beat him, whatever. I have the money sat here. And I could go up if I wanted to. I went, like, I'm just going to beat him. Tell him to stop now, but obviously you can't say that. So in the end, I think I paid 8.3.
Which still considered the mileage and the conditions and also the amount of owners.
I've only found one other that's around 40,000 miles. And that, granted, it was a dealer.
Yeah.
And that was up for 12.
Yeah, so it goes to show.
So, again, I wasn't bothered at paying what I, at the time, thought this is more than I thought I would.
But you
because I knew I'd get it back. Yeah. If it went at an auction for that now, it's going to go at it again, isn't it? So... For me, again, that's the safe bet.
Going to go up as well.
Well, yeah, exactly, because like you say, they're only getting less and less, aren't they? In terms of it's an old car, and old cars presumably get wrecked, and engines blow up or something like that.
They can be incredibly expensive to repair as well, considering how much they're worth.
Well, I think if yours had because it doesn't have a cam belt, does it? It has a chain.
So the engine light came on for the chain. The guys had the chain done.
And how much is it to get a cam chain done?
Oh, I think it was around 1,500 quid. Which
most people would not do on an old car.
No.
So again, some will have been scrapped purely for that. Right, well, I've got all the V6s here, and this is obviously all automatic. So holy cow!
The most expensive.
That cannot be right.
And that's not even got the BBS wheels on it.
It's not even a convertible.
Wow.
So that is, right, obviously, I keep forgetting people can't see what we see.
That's 20 grand.
So 2005.
One owner.
Granted, it's one owner from new, 21,000 miles. So it's quite exceptional.
Manual.
But it's not a convertible.
It's base spec.
Yep, standard wheels. And that's up for £20,000?
Yep. What's the interior like? Has it got a special
I'm sorry,
interior?
but that is not worth it. Let me just put in convertible because that's essentially what we were concentrating on. Where's the body type? There we go. So there's only 3 convertibles of any V6. Oh, wow. That's been around for about a year. Yeah. That's been at 9 grand for ages, but that's got 70,000 miles on it and it's been modified.
Yes, yeah.
Which I don't like. And it's from a dealer. And then you're looking at 7 grand, but they're at 60, 70,000 miles. They haven't
got the extras, have they?
And it's a bit tired, isn't it, looking...
Yeah.
It's standard wheels, no bows, like you say. So I'm easily going to get my money back.
Part service history.
Yeah. You're certainly going to get your money back.
Yeah, definitely.
So essentially, whatever happens, we're not doing this to make money, but if you pick it right, it will do, won't it?
Yeah. It's a safe weekend toy, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think, when people buy a Porsche or something like that, and... I don't know, and I know, clearly people with a lot of money.
Yeah.
They haven't just spent that. probably get it back if they're buying a used one at the right time.
Use one, special edition, limited numbers, maybe once in a special colour or something like that.
Limited numbers is the key, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, if
Very
it's,
few
if it's numbered and limited, or if it was some sort of a flop when it came out.
Like the Corrado.
Like the Corrado, yeah. And then gained a bit of a following afterwards. Things like that will.
Well, although it's not a special edition, I don't imagine many people will have bought a 3.6 top spec V6 Audi TT convertible over its life.
Nobody bought 3.6.
3.2 V6.
They do a 3.6.
There we go. But that's why I think clearly people have, but it will be relatively low.
Most people will have gone for the 180 of a 225 or even the 150 or whatever it was that they brought out.
So that's the first thing, isn't it? I always look for. Go for the not the rest spec so much, but if they did like a 1 in 500 special edition or something like that, or a Halo model, which is essentially this one. So the age of this is making it rare now.
It is, yeah.
So essentially, that's why we ended up buying. Well, both of us, the V6.
So we look like
convertible Mark 1.
A right set of spanners if we ever put the same place together.
Well, we did. We went to Whitby, didn't we, in the first decent trip out in it. And the weather was nice, even though it was cold. It was warm enough in the convertible. So we had the roof down.
Yeah.
The guys in a van. We were on the A1M. Just on a short stretch, weren't we? Because we were going to essentially Whitby.
Yeah, just like a one junction up on pulled alongside us.
Pulled alongside and looked to it. What are you doing?
Are you too cold in there?
Oh no, it's brilliant. And they're like, and that's what I mean. You get attention with something that's getting on a bit. Or
I think people respect it as well. Yeah, I've got more attention, except for the Twizy, more attention and more compliments in the TT when I'm putting, if I'm putting fuel in it, which inevitably I am putting fuel in it. Personally, the checkout will go, I've always liked them.
Yeah.
Or my friend had one of them. I used to love being in it.
So let's move on to other cars that let's move on to ones we've wish we'd have bought, because we did look at, or at least talked about, maybe a year or two ago.
Quite a few.
And I'll mention one while it's in my head that, again, someone else I know, they were looking at a Ford Puma Racing.
Ooh.
A year ago, and they saw one for, I think it was £9,000, 9.5.
Okay.
It was in above average condition, but it wasn't a mint or anything like that. But it was far from being a dog. You could have made it mint. And now he went to look at another one because he ended up buying something else.
Yeah.
Effectively, the cheapest Ford Puma Racing in even vaguely close to that condition is now 15.
Wow.
Because I keep on taking the mick out of him saying, but you wish you'd have bought that, don't you?
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about. I mean, I know we're in slightly exceptional circumstances we use values, but they're not going down now.
They're not, no. I think it's
they're getting rarer.
Yeah, that's it. They're there for a while yet, aren't they?
Yeah, so buy a car. If you can store it inside, of course, that's the big bonus.
If you've got a garage, yeah. Or if not, get a car cover. It's the next best thing.
But what have we missed in the past because of
I'll tell you in 1 second after I do take a toilet break.
Oh, no. Oh, God, well, pee break. Was that a good one?
I didn't
Floodgates have opened.
I didn't think I was ever going to stop.
You haven't damaged the toilet.
No, just the floor.
Right. Okay, so let's get back. Oh, I just heard that. So let's get back on track then. So a car that we've genuinely looked at and thought, nah, missed out on. Yeah. And now is worth a hell of a lot.
And it's only going up, and it's going up a lot.
So how much? Let's talk
about where it was. So, what it is, it's the Focus Mark 1 RS.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at one as a purchase, not really, didn't have my heart on it, but I was looking at them just out of interest, off and on. About 3 or 4 years ago, and they were going as low as, for a bad example, 7. A good example, about 10.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think was a bad price, but the thing that put me off was the Jeremy Clarkson review. Didn't like the steering, meant to be a bit of a dodgy limited slip differential on there.
Yeah.
So, and also I didn't think they looked as good as the Mark II then. So again, it was one of those ones where I thought,
getting the Mark II.
Yeah. But I thought, it's a nice car, but I don't know, I just can't see myself in one.
And it'd have to be your only one at the time?
It would have to be the only one, yeah. So putting the miles on and that sort of thing, it just wouldn't have made sense. So
how much is a reasonable Mark 1 Focus RS going for these days?
A lot more than 10.
I would say in the 20s now?
Yeah, for a good one you're looking in the 20s, yeah. Let's have a look. Focus RS.
So essentially, it's doubled in the last 2 or 3 years.
It has, yeah. And it's only going to go up. So we are looking at,
isn't
there we go, that's 17 and a half. That's got 115,000 mile on it and has been modified in some sort of way. I'm not sure I'm a fan of that. Yeah, that's one we've come across so far.
And I suppose, again, limited numbers again, isn't it? That's the key to this all.
It is.
So
And I think
one.
the fact is that it was sort of had mixed reviews when it came out. Another one there of near 140,000 miles on it at 16 and a half.
So essentially, if you get one that's
18,000, 92,000 on it.
So if you get one that's like 50,000 miles or something like that, you're going to end up. It's
yeah.
it's well in the 20s.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect example of in
A good
3
investment.
years.
Yeah, it's nearly doubled in 3 years. I can see that very much being the Cosworth, as it were, like the Escort.
They're going
Cosworth.
for 40, 50, 60, 70 now, aren't they?
I think people can look back at these and think, yeah, they were a really good car.
And they're rare.
Yeah, they're really rare. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the key once more. Any others that we missed out? I'm trying to remember some.
Well, we can go.
I've looked at a few, obviously, like your. I mean, should we mention the Mini?
Yeah, the Mini GP.
The Mini. So this is the Mark 1.
The Mark 1 GP.
BMW ones.
Yeah. So the first Mini that came out, 2003.
3-ish.
Yeah,
2-ish.
2 or 3. So in 2005-6, they did the GP. The GP is the run-out edition, the track-based edition.
No rear seats.
No rear seats. No, it's a bit mental.
Scaffolding.
Yeah, and they release that typically just as they change to a Mark 2 or a Mark 3.
Yeah.
So they were.
400 of them.
I think there was a few more of them.
400 or 500 of
They
them.
were limited edition.
Yeah,
You get a numbered car.
Yeah.
Couple
Which is
of
also
years,
a good thing, isn't it? No, if it has a
keeps
number.
the getting the value up. A couple of years ago, pick it up for 10 grand.
10 grand. And that a reasonable example?
Yeah, reasonable example. Yeah, 10 grand, reasonable example. Well looked after. I think they're all well looked after because it's the type of car it is. Now you're looking at around 20, and there's one for sale I can find at the moment. And it's 20.
And that's a reasonable example.
That's a reasonable example as well. Yeah, it's it's similar to the cars that were going for between 10 and 12.
And there's no way it's cost anybody £10,000 to look after that car for
in that time,
2 or 3 years.
And if you had that, typically it wouldn't be your own vehicle. You'd put in a couple of thousand miles a year on that.
So here's a question then.
Yep.
Can you see this happening, or rather, it will happen because that's nature. Which full EV that's out, so 10 years, 15, 20 years or whatever from now, which
Honda
ones do you... Yeah, I think the Honda E, because it won't
Low
sell
numbers,
brilliant.
it looks weird in a good way.
Yeah. And mileage will be irrelevant and stuff because ultimately it'll be a toy car.
It has to be the Honda E. I don't think there's anything else.
i3 or i3S?
i3S maybe, but I still don't think. You see, the Honda's going to
Carbon tub.
It's going to have the Jap following, isn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose the big there's a lot of i3s and i3Ss.
There is, yeah.
But maybe in 20 years' time, I think it's going to be so. I think they will.
I think the S will for
plateau.
definite. I don't think the standard. I don't think the i3 will be, but the S.
Mark 1 Mini Electric. When I say Mark 1, the first Mini Electric. Do you think, because that will be, again, 20 years from now when...
If they do a GP, yeah.
Apparently they are.
Well,
they're doing a works.
We saw
electric.
There was one at Goodwood last year, wasn't there? It was an electric, but it had the GP kit on it. Now, if they release that with some limited edition plaque number, then yeah, definitely. That's
almost a no-brainer, isn't it? If you can afford that to whack it away for 5 years.
Well, that's it. I think that's going to go up. It's for limited edition ones and stuff that wasn't received with,
So it will happen with electric. It's just they're not mature enough.
I think once maybe Abarth bring the full electric out, there might be a couple of models that they bring special editions, possibly.
I suppose that's the problem at the moment. We're only getting the bulk EVs at the moment. There are no special editions of anything.
No,
can you imagine if they did the that Rally Sport Renault Zoe?
Well,
that would have sold, and even if they did limited numbers, future that would only appreciate. 100%.
It would. That'd have been. I mean, even if they'd made it so it wasn't as crazy,
Oh yeah.
I think that would have been. Yeah, people would have been hiding.
Even if it was just for looks and they didn't change the underneath, as it were. So not like the one we saw at Goodwood, just the body kit. Well, not even the body kit, the body.
Yeah, wider arches.
Take the rear seats out, maybe make it weird. I wish they'd have done that one.
Well, look at the Twizy with the F1 kit on it.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. That actually sold, a different one sold at auction for 17.5 grand. It's actually sold. So that's one of 5.
There was 5, wasn't there, in different colours?
F1 Twizy which is basically had all the big body with it. It was a special and it was a genuine Renault thing. One sold at an auction about 4 or 5 months ago for 17.5 grand.
Wow.
Which is a lot more than I believe it was new.
Yeah. It's things like that, isn't it? Which
so it will happen with EV World. But no, for now we're stuck. We have to get petrol. Yeah. So is there anything, right, I've smashed your TT to bits and you're giving you your money for it. What would you get now, do you think? Because
what would I get now?
There's quite a lot. There's quite a lot. I've seen a few Corrados only because I've owned them.
I think
they're going up now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, the ceiling mark on them isn't as high as some of the other cars, and whether it will go up as much, I don't know.
I don't think so because
I think we've reached it, maybe. For the foreseeable 2 or 3 years. 20
years from now, when they're 50-year-old and there's only 4 in the world, but ultimately for me, 15 grand's the most you're going to be paying for a Corrado ever.
Yeah.
And there are a few at that.
It seems to be a selling price. I think
that's more of a romantic association because I used to have one.
Yeah.
Not that I really want one again. And of course it has the V6.
It does,
the VR6, should I say. But it's that engine again that's driving prices. Is that engine responsible for what we're about to tell you in terms
of
the
price? 2 cars, yeah. It is the Mark IV Golf R32. Again, they were trading for between 7 and 10 not so long ago.
So a couple of years ago?
A couple of years, yeah. Yeah, because obviously the car tax is slightly more than the very first day.
Yeah.
Everyone moving to diesels.
Mm-hmm.
And they were dropping between 7 and 10. Now, I'm staring at my screen and a good example here is £20,000.
For a 2004 with 63,000 miles on it.
Yeah, over 2,000.
Golf R32.
Yeah.
So you're looking in between 15 and 20 grand.
Yeah, for a good one.
For what? So that's more than doubled in the last 2 or 3 years.
It has. I mean, to put that, you can get a Mark II with 67 on the clock for 12.5.
So the Mark II is cheaper than the Mark 1?
The Mark V, is cheaper than the Mark IV. Strange, isn't it?
But then presumably the Mark V will follow in a few years' time.
Well, who knows?
Will it?
You would think.
That was the first one, wasn't it?
The Mark IV was, yeah.
So again,
no, the first one was the Beetle RSI.
That was the repetitive strain injury one.
Yeah, I think it's the RSI.
But in terms of the first Golf R32, that was the first model to buy in.
There you go.
You did the V. I wonder what the V5s are doing. Because that was a unique one, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't very quick.
I don't think they were particularly much. No, maybe because the Mark III 2.8 was the first Golf, I believe, to have it in. So we could have a look. So that'd be the.
So have they appreciated now? And then, or do you think they're going to carry on?
I think they've sort of plateaued for the time being.
So it's a bad time to buy, effectively.
It's a bad time to buy, yeah. But it's a car that's. I don't think you're going to particularly lose much more on. I mean, to be honest with you might as well save your money and get.
It's almost like classic cars have become cheaper because all cars now. Is it in any way, shape, or form because petrol has effectively got an end date to it, or is it just circumstance, COVID? People are not going on holiday, spending money on things like cars.
I think so.
So that's driven the used prices up because everybody's buying them.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of. Yeah, and like I said before, I think there's a lot of people buying cars that they aspired to own when they were younger but couldn't afford.
So what do we think the impact in 2030 to 2035 when the... So you can get plug-in hybrid till 2035.
So what's that going to have on...
So a man, yeah...
They're still going to exist. They're going to be kept in the garage, brought out a couple of... Well, I don't know.
No, but do you think cars that are coming out in the next 10 years, petrol cars, are then going to see a sudden massive surge in the 2030s when the ban turns up?
Yaris, GR,
Yaris, that you could already flip for almost the same.
Cars like that, I think, I think you're going to see, I'll say, super stroke hyper cars, limited edition numbers.
Yeah. But in terms of normalist, like the Yaris GR.
Yeah, the Yaris GR.
Attainable cars.
I think is probably, I can't think of anything else that springs to mind that is just that special. Maybe the new Supra. Stuff like that. What strangely enough, both Toyotas.
I wonder if that charges itself.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. No, it's not.
No, it's not self-charging one in that one.
I don't want one then.
No, but yeah, I think cars like that are going to go up in value. Especially if you get a Supra that's not been modified or molested, which is probably quite difficult.
See, the thing for me is that when we get to this ban, whether it's the 2030 or 35 one, we're going to see some immense run-out models.
Yeah. Oh my God, we've got loads of V12s. Let's put 2 of them in this car.
Yeah. But no, that's going to be made a big thing of, I think. You're going to have the last 500 of this, the last 500 of this.
Yeah.
Especially the models that aren't going electric; they're just disappearing
completely.
Like, I wonder if the Golf, arguably, presumably, will die out because they've gone ID whatever.
Well, do you think they ever will electrify a Golf back?
Well, they did, and then they removed it. So I don't know. Why have they got the ID range? True. Why would they go for the ID range, though? I mean, all they have to do is bring out a Golf.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they'll bring a new Golf out that is a modified ID platform.
Yeah.
And just label it a Golf.
But it does. If you are into your petrol head stuff, so not just a petrol card, something special. Or rare or whatever, you don't necessarily have to be £100,000 car, like the Yaris GR. Then I think the next decade is going to bring the best out because we're at the pinnacle of technology and they're getting killed off.
Yeah.
So there's some last hurrahs coming out, which I think is going to be impressive.
Well, we're seeing some, aren't we? A lot of nice cars coming out.
Well, yeah, exactly. Ooh.
Look at this.
Oh my lord!
This is a 2005.
No, don't say the price of it. I want to hear the price of what it was.
Renault Clio, and this is the V6.
So the V6
phase
Clio.
2 that I can't tell. It's possibly a phase 2. I think that's a phase 1. Yeah, it's a phase 2.
Yeah, right. Okay, so phase 2 V6, 2005. It's done. Wow, it's only done
30,000 miles. But this is the only.
It's the only one on sale on eBay at least, and. About a few years ago, we were looking
at... It'd be
at...
4 or 5, probably. I think they were going for in the 20s.
So 20-odd grand 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that now, granted, it's a Minter.
It's a Minter, yeah.
But what's it up for sale at?
Well, there's two adverts for the same car. One's at 60 and one's at 65. That's the same car.
60 grand for a Clio.
For a rear-wheel drive Clio.
Even though it's a V6 Clio. And
250 brake. They'll try and kill you when you get to a corner.
£60,000. I mean, that's obscene.
More than it was new.
A lot more than it was
Twice nearly, I think.
So essentially, in 5 years, that's gone up £40,000. I mean, granted, that is a special.
That's probably. I think it's probably gone up.
45 is probably 45.
Maybe it's gone up 20, 25, maybe.
But even then, can you think of anything that someone say, right, I've got 25 grand to invest. What shall I do? Shall I get solar? Shall I get shares?
No, buy a
Clio V6 and you've doubled your investment.
Imagine, well, you're telling me to buy a French car, a small French car, and I'm going to make a load of money on it.
So, essentially, are we basically turning ourselves, not officially to the public, but financial advice to us, is to buy more cars?
Buy more cars with bigger engines.
It literally is, isn't it? I mean, I reckon... either of our TTs in another 3 years' time.
Yeah, it's going to be worth a lot more.
You'd be approaching the 20s?
Who knows?
And all of a sudden you're thinking, well, hang on a minute, then I can buy something that's 20-odd grand that might go to 30 in a few. And by the time we're 60, we're in a Porsche. Is that how they do it?
We just can't drive it, though, because that's slow. Its reaction times are so slow. We end up killing people. Sticking with the French theme, again, a Clio Williams. This one is going for nearly £24,000. 79,000 miles on the clock. And that, let's have a look at this one. So this was a few years ago. You could pick these up between about 7 and 12.
Oh, yeah. I've always liked them. I had a soft spot for the Williams. This is the 3.
I always like the gold wheels.
Yeah. But again, rare model.
Yeah.
So how much was that again? Originally?
Originally, you could pick them up... I'm between around... I've seen them under 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now?
That's still 24.
So, again, doubled in price.
And that's not low mileage. That's nearly 79,000 miles.
Yeah, so it's not one of these rare minters.
No. So, again, another car that you could just have bought and put away. Or even drive at the weekends. Well,
you could have driven it occasionally.
Yeah.
Well, so effectively, this is the thing, isn't it? That's why I'm not bothered about making money on these, although it's a bonus, because I'm getting... For us, anyway, we're getting enjoyment out of it, especially if you've got a convertible car in summer.
Oh, it's
and then you're getting your money back. It's essentially someone saying, anytime you want, borrow my car, it won't cost you a penny.
It is, and that's basically what it is. Yeah, exactly.
And, yeah, it makes you think, doesn't it? Hang on a minute, because there's no point in having money in the bank. Apart from rainy day money, there's no point in having money in the bank.
No,
there really isn't.
No. You might as well have it sat on your drive. And if it loses a little bit, it'll lose a little bit. But the chances are it's probably going to make.
Here's a question for you then.
What, this or Bitcoin?
Exactly, yeah. Here's a question for you then. Although, arguably, if you buy the right thing, you would actually be worse off financially. For the sort of price we're looking at now of what you could sell the TTs for, that's solar and a battery array. Are you ever tempted? Because they're genuinely, given the energy prices,
sometimes
it's a financial
then
investment.
what I do is I go into the garage and just turn the car on.
But it is quite interesting, isn't it, that one is the same. I mean, I find it utterly bonkers that for essentially the same price as a 7-year-old Renault Twizy, I've got a low mileage 3.2 V6 convertible Audi TT.
Yeah.
How can they be worth the same?
I know which one I'd rather be selling.
V6 Twizy.
Yeah, V6 Twizy.
Can you imagine that?
High booster engine in it.
Ooh, but yeah, I mean, this is completely the opposite of essentially what most of this channel's about, which is why we thought we'd do it on a podcast, not a video.
Yeah. I think it's worth saying we're both
we've always liked cars.
Yeah, since being crawling. I remember having tons of cars when I was a little kid, and just a fascination with cars. I used to look. Yeah. Used to try and look through the driver's side window to see what the speedo went up to, because that's how fast the car went. 150 this one.
I remember when I were about, it must have been 10 or something, because I was at middle school and one of the teachers had an XR3i.
Oh, yeah.
I remember telling her it was convertible as well, because she once sent me out of the class for pointing out that a tax disc had expired. But I remember telling everyone, well, that's got a 3-litre engine. I said, it's an XR3i, you idiot. What do you think 3 stands for?
3 litre. Proper quick.
And the XR2i, that's the 2 litre. So yeah, it's always been like I say, an interest, because I think it's, there's enough petrol heads out there, we don't need to explain why. That's why we've got a Goodwood for the full time every year. Yeah. I've said this time and time again on the channel. We like all cars, and the only reason I chose an electric car channel was because there's a billion other normal car channels around.
It's document your experience.
Well, yeah, you'd be competing against 1 million channels instead of 3 at the time. So yeah, it's never going to go away. And again, even from the environmental argument, if you're going to have a go at us doing 1,000 miles a year in this,
exactly.
then you're going to have a go at a lot of people doing. I mean, hell, the impact of that for 10 years is less than a transatlantic flight. So anybody that's been to Florida, or anyone that's transatlantic, quite frankly, you can't say anything to this. So let's not go down that road. Let's not spoil it with this. Not that there is a comment section. I keep on forgetting that we're not on YouTube.
There's people just going, I can't believe this.
Yes.
How dare he have an
electric vehicle, man? Well, yeah, I mean, I will be, in fact, I did a video saying I bought the V6 TT on members only. So I guess not everybody will know it. But
spat it in the street now.
In a week's time, I think it's a week, because we're nearly at half term now. Basically, in about a week's time, I'm planning on doing a video on the Audi. Full machine polish, ceramic coating.
Yeah.
Basically what I did with the Tesla, but this time I've got something to recover. The Tesla was brand new, it was easy. Yeah. So I think from a pure detailing point of view, that might be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Watch
the comment section of people going, I can't believe he drives this planet killer.
Well, that's the thing, and it's like, I don't drive it.
No.
I mean, until we went to Whitby.
Count on one hand.
Yeah, until we went to Whitby, it had the same petrol the car came with for nearly 3 months.
Should we let them know how much it cost to fill it up?
It was. I took a picture of it, didn't I? £83.
Wow.
And it wasn't. It was in the red, but it wasn't empty.
Yeah. £83.
And that was Tesco Super.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the cheapest, but it wasn't the most expensive either.
£1.47 or something, wasn't it? £1.50 maybe.
But I've still got half a tank left, and going over to Matthewson's, Pickering, over the A169 to Whitby, and then all the way back again. Yeah. When it just happened to be sunny in February, and we were warm enough.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
That was brilliant.
And
quite frankly, it's for the price of going to the cinema. Yeah. It's going for the same price, certainly between us, essentially, of going to a cinema and then restaurant or whatever.
Easily.
And we had a full day, effectively doing what you enjoy.
Yeah.
And the weather was great, lots of scenery.
Yeah.
And you know what?
You can't go wrong, can you? I don't think.
No. And the question is, though, are we willing to put the miles on these to take these to the North Coast 500 with a convertible? I
think it's got to be.
Assuming it's not throwing it down.
Summertime.
Would you summertime it with the midges?
Well, you're not going to be. You
have to keep driving fast.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. He's got black spots all over his face.
Maybe May. start of May.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be perfect, wouldn't it? North Coast, mountains, roof down.
Well, yeah, the scenery's stunning, and without a roof on, you genuinely do see a lot more.
That's amazing, isn't it? You take the roof down, it's like, wow.
Even if it's... that's what I mean, the primary purpose was to get a convertible, because I never owned one.
Yeah.
And you want to experience as much as possible, do you? I'm never going to own a supercar, so there's no point in me...
Oh,
but a convertible is going to... You can get them. And I think it's been worth every penny.
Special enough.
And for essentially getting paid to do this, because it should go up in value. So there is no downside to
Shop
this.
smart. Shop K smart.
You got that? No, I think... actually, bonus points for anybody that got that film reference and quote there. A little subtle.
They might not have done.
EV Man UK Twitter feed. That's the best feedback method for podcasts. So right, we have literally just basically talked about between us. This has nothing to do with the podcast.
No, it isn't. No. I have looked at all the cars here actually that have gone up a lot, and they all look to be French.
Apart from that one.
No, well, should we do one more French one?
21 grand for an M5.
That's
an E39.
But that's a high mileage one.
Wow.
For a low mileage one, £55,000.
£55,000
Mm-hmm.
for a 2000 M5 E39 with 26,000 miles on it.
Yep, and that does look as 29.
Holy moly!
Now you couldn't. There you go.
29, and it's got 100,000 miles on it.
Yep, 28 there. Now these. Oh, again, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, you could not get rid of them. Again, they were going for between 10 and 15.
And now that some of them are in the 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s.
Yep. Again, you could use.
I mean, that's not just making a bit of money, is it? That is.
That's a good.
Yeah, I could pay my mortgage off for 5 years earlier if just by selling the car.
Very, very gangster, Russian gangster.
I don't know. That reminds me of James Bond when he wanted an M5. He had the. Was it an M5? Remember when he briefly went BMW?
It might be an M5.
I think it was an M5.
So it's a nice looking car.
Understated looks.
Yeah.
Around that age.
So yeah, a nice investment if you bought one back then. So
I suppose our final words on this whole endeavour that we're talking about, which is absolutely nothing to do with the channel, is it's financially irresponsible for you not to buy the right car. You got to do your research.
Yeah, I think the key to it is making sure you've
right time of year.
Right time of year, but have a look at what they're typically doing. Have a look at what other cars that are similar are doing. It's the reason for buying the TT is that the Mark IV and 5 went up in value. The Mark IV more than the 5, which leads you to believe that the TT is special. The convertible makes it more special, and that engine has seen a price increase in the other vehicles it's in. Chances are it's going to go up in that one. Again, when you're doing your research, make sure it's got low numbers. That's probably going to be one of the things to look out for.
Well, yeah, it's someone that's got. If you've got 50 to choose from and not a trader, it ain't going to work.
Special,
is it?
No. You want a couple to choose from, not a trader.
Yeah. Less than 10, probably.
I'd say less than 10. Yeah, and again, don't always buy the first one you see.
No.
Stick to buy one with a decent specification.
You did. It just happened to be a perfect.
If you've been looking for a long time and you go and look at it and say it hasn't got some of the things that you really would like on it and you can't change, not like the wheels where you can buy them aftermarket, but say there's something like the Bose system or something like that, it hasn't got that and you really want that, maybe hold out for it.
And I would argue only buy original examples, not ones that have been modified. I don't mean like they've changed some treatment that you can put back. No. Anything that's going to be annoying to put back. Like if they've changed...
Chavvy.
Well, yeah,
change the wheels completely.
Change the wheels,
put
change
some new
ones
on it or something, yeah.
Made something which is going to be expensive to replace.
Yeah.
Because I think when you get to that stage, there's got to be an original example, pretty much.
Yeah, they have, yeah. That's what people are after, an original example.
And don't be afraid of auctions. Just be afraid of spending more than you thought.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me to pick the car that they literally said in 11 months of pandemicness and a busy year for them. It was the busiest auction they'd had.
In fact, you bidding against somebody who had an identical one?
Well, I don't know if it was him I was bidding against, but when I rung up to pay, as they called it, the women in the office that do all the admin afterwards. I went, yeah, I'm just here because I put my deposit down already.
Yeah.
I'm here to pay the rest. All right. Oh, you bought that. Oh, we all like them. Oh, we were all looking at that. Did you come up on Sunday? And no. Oh, right. No, we had a guy that came up in an identical car from Bristol.
Wow.
So he drove up in a Mark 1.
Way.
That's a long, long way away, isn't it? To look at it. And that tells me that it probably was him I was bidding against. Because you wouldn't do that journey in a Mark 1 TT as well.
Yeah.
So that showed a definitely... he had knowledge of the car.
Yeah, that's £200 of fuel.
Well, yeah. And that's probably why he kept on going up in bits. I've just spent 200 quid of fuel. So that tells me, I mean, every person they have available on the phone, loads of internet bits, it was just rammed. So trust me to buy the bloody car.
Well, you got a good one.
But if I stuck it back on there any time, arguably it's going to be as busy. So again, what whoops, I've spent more. Whoops, I'm going to get it back.
The thing is as well, unless something goes drastically wrong, it is a car that, well, for me, I'm going to keep for as long as I can.
Well, I envisage them...
It sounds good. Unless I really need the money.
Well, that's it. Unless something else comes up, but it's not a great time.
You were to upgrade that.
The only time I think I would sell that is if say in a few years' time or longer, who knows when, and then someone says, I'll get you 20 odd grand for that. And that's too much to ignore.
Yeah.
That's gonna, if you got 5 years left on your mortgage and someone says you could clear your mortgage if you sell it.
I've got two. Harry, do you look about a Yaris GR?
Do you want oh God, I almost looked at a Yaris GR when that was up, the TT.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had the money essentially for the
deposit.
Twizy sat there.
Yeah.
And they were doing 0% finance on the Yaris GR, weren't they?
That's just... like they can't sell them quick
I'm
enough. Hello, Toyota. No.
Although the bubble has burst a little bit. I've seen a couple that have been on for sale. Clearly, dealers trying to flip them.
Ah, right, okay.
And they're not selling for essentially like £1,000 more than the list.
Well, I think...
So I think
people are buying them as a second car, though, aren't they? I mean, someone's buying one and they go, it's going to take 6 months to come, but you can have one now for £1,000 extra. Oh, I'll wait for 6 months.
Yeah. I think that the jump in the queue thing's burst. And I don't think they're going to... well, in general, the cars in general, they're not going to come back down again. There's going to be no deflation.
No, there's going to be
They'll just hold.
No housing market crash, so to speak.
Because they're only getting rarer.
Yeah, that's it. We look at classic
There's
Porsches.
always people with money out there as well.
Yeah,
no matter what happens in the world, I suppose. But that's it. So right. So that's the best way to get solar panels and a home battery system, by buying a petrol car.
It is. So that's useful advice, sir. So you can...
I wonder how many people listening to this are now going to go and look at an auto trader.
Yeah.
A car that they used to love 15 years ago.
Well, this is it. And I think that maybe that's another thing is sometimes if you really wanted a car when you were, a little bit younger and you couldn't afford it because you were young, have a look now and see. It may well be in your grasp. And probably, if it's something special, it's not going to go down.
Well, no. You just need, like you say, I guess it depends on if you've got savings. Are there savings?
Yeah.
You're not earning interest, are you?
Well, you're not, no.
As long as you've got some sort of emergency fund that can keep you going a couple of months minimum.
Cash your car,
Well, that's it. Worst case scenario, you just stick it on for a good price. You're going to get probably back even at that stage. Yeah. But if you play it nicely. I mean, I if I had the money, I would probably think, because we're in February, I'll just have a look and see what Twizzys are going and make another £1,000.
Get another one, yeah. Get it.
And I can make a little bit of money from doing videos with them.
Yeah, well, that's it, yeah. Do that for a little bit.
Content generating.
But you got to think, haven't you? I mean, looking around at newish cars, and I always go back to looking at old ones. I think if there's something about them, maybe I do fancy a Z4 coupe at some point.
This is how the YouTubers do it. I'm talking about the big ones now.
Yeah.
They buy a Lamborghini, they lease a Lamborghini for a few grand a month, which will save them a lot on tax, and it will generate another 6 months worth of content, and then they'll go and do it again. Yeah. Because it's going through the business.
5 things I like about my Lamborghini. 5 things I don't like about my Lamborghini. My Lamborghini's getting a new exhaust.
Should I trade my Lamborghini?
My Lamborghini's getting around.
Yep.
Should I trade in my Lamborghini? Surprise reveal of new car. And repeat.
Yeah, well, should we drop a little hint? Because when's this going?
I think we should.
In the next... Or I don't think this is going to go out. This is going to go out after, I think, the reveal.
Is it?
6 weeks from now. unless I just bring this forward and make sure it goes out first. Basically, I'm planning on doing something special for about... In fact, no, it's not 6 weeks, is it? It's... No, it's 6 weeks.
6 weeks, yeah. So you pick that up in 6 weeks, don't you?
So basically, something will be going in the fleet, something will be arriving in the fleet. And it's quite
special.
It's special,
Yeah.
Even by jokey standards. Special. It's beyond that.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that video. This one has gone on longer than the interesting one that we recorded earlier because this is.
The second half.
I think we're well past an hour now.
We can happily talk about our petrol cars.
Well, that's the one thing that annoys me about the podcast. You can't get direct feedback. So please, guys, if you're listening to this at EVManUK, I don't just mean did you like it or not. Just say. I know. Talk about the topic.
If you want us to talk about something.
Yeah.
If you'd like to say,
can you do a podcast on?
I've got a really good topic. What about this?
I'm waiting for that micro pub around the corner to open up so we can do one in there.
Yeah, that'd be good fun, yeah. So I'll tell you what it is.
What's all this kind of like,
Yeah.
clink in the background and kind of low hum?
Yeah.
Right, I think we should call it a day.
It's getting late.
Well, it's been a good Valentine's Day again.
It has, yeah.
And a tax-deductible one, hopefully. Okay, again, with absolutely zero warning, the final word of the podcast is...
Penal.